Well, greetings viewers and voyeurs, you're with Got That Funk. I want to talk a little bit about the concept of begging. And I want to make it very clear, I'm not alluding to Thunderfoot or to e-begging in general. I'm talking about people who beg because they don't have a choice, not people who beg because they want a bit of extra money. All right? In various different parts of the world, in different times in history, begging has been seen as a normal aspect of society. It's been understood that there are always going to be poor people in society. There are always going to be people who are either unable or unwilling to work. And in those parts of the world where this attitude about begging exists, people who beg tend to have their needs met by the rest of the population with small donations of food and or small donations of money. And the people doing the donating didn't do so because they're particularly generous individuals, and they don't do so because they feel particularly sorry for the person who is doing the begging. They do it because they have what is called now enlightened self-interest. Enlightened self-interest is a system of ethics which basically implies that it is in my interest to see to it that your needs are met. Because if I give money to a beggar, or food to a beggar, they're less likely to be starving and desperate. And a person who is starving and desperate is more likely to commit a crime than a person who is not starving and desperate. So, whatever we can do to minimize the number of people who are starving and desperate must be a good thing for society. That's enlightened self-interest. Yes, it's good for the individuals, but it's actually good for society as well. At its most simple form, enlightened self-interest basically means the more we help each other, the more we help ourselves. That is an attitude that I think we need to revive post-haste in the Western world, in the United States in particular. There are certain parts of America where it is literally illegal to beg. We hate begging in America, so much so that we don't even want to see it, much less actually contribute to these people. That's unfortunate. I understand the ethic of self-reliance. I myself am a big proponent of self-reliance. I think that people ought to be able to depend on themselves and look after themselves. I say ought to because that is in an ideal world. In an ideal world, we would all be self-reliant. But in the real world, we literally all do depend on each other. We do depend on each other. Even those of us who try our very best to be self-reliant, unless you're generating your own electricity, farming your own vegetables and livestock, etc., you depend on other people. We all depend on other people. And we need to recognize that we are all in this game together. We all inhabit this same small planet that's spinning around the sun. We all have the same basic needs: food, water, air, shelter, love. We all want happiness. We all want the world to be a better place in the future than it was in the past. And we're all here for a very limited amount of time. It only stands to reason that we want to make our lives as good as possible, and one of the ways to do that is by helping to make the lives of other people good as well. If the majority of people subscribe to the ethics of enlightened self-interest, more people would help more people, which would be more helpful for more people. It's when we allow a situation to develop, which we have done over the past few generations, where it's every woman for herself and every man for himself, that even though we are all in this together, even though we all do depend on each other, we feel alone. And we behave as if we're on our own when we're not. Not only are we not, but we don't have to be. So, this being Martin Luther King Day in America, I thought I would resurrect the concept of enlightened self-interest for discussion and throw it out there. I'm not saying that self-reliance is a bad thing and that people shouldn't try to rely on themselves. But I am saying that enlightened self-interest is for the benefit of the many and for the benefit of the individual. And in that sense, it can't be a bad thing. So give that some thought. I want to close the video by thanking all my newer subscribers. I've just went over 5,000 subs on Saturday, so thank you for jumping aboard the Got That Funk Express. I hope you stick around for a while. I want to say extra special thank you to those of you who have been here for more or less the entire ride. People like XXX the Peach XXX and Tattoo Skin 72 and Nelly Diddle and Wonder Pope and Music Genius #1 and Raven Slaves and Bamboo for Tame Shigiri and Scouse Caspa XX and Rockerware and plenty more besides. You guys have been here for such a long time, and I'm sure there might have been one or two moments where you thought about jumping ship, but I'm glad you didn't. Thank you all for watching Got That Funk, and may all of your ups and downs be ups.